I'm a member with NSSF, has a lot of money in NSSF, but only 11.4% of the people that are saving with NSSF own 80% of that 13.2 trillion. So what does that tell us? It tells us that we have, even the people that are saving with us, we have over 89% that are sharing only 20% of that 13 trillion. So as a nation, we need to do something about our financial management journey if we want to change this narrative. So we thought about it and we said, what better way to change this narrative than take this conversation to our homes, to our families, through the mothers. If you can go to the next slide, please. And then when we talk about the 50 billion that we are paying out every month, we did some research to find out where is this money going, because we are not seeing it in the economy. And indeed, 45% of the people that are getting NSSF benefits upon retirement are using it to build a home or to improve their home. So we are sinking it into our homes, and thereafter, the people who have retired are failing to maintain their lifestyles and probably living a miserable life. So this is the narrative that we hope to change with our financial literacy program. So today, like I said, it's special. We are dedicating it to the mothers so that we can discuss and get insights from a rich panel that is going to be speaking to us today. If we look at the population of Uganda, 48% of our population is below. This means that about over 50% of our population is still living with our parents in our homes, either our real mothers or a mother figure at home. So if we may take this message to our families, to our children, mothers being the nurturers that we are, we believe that we can influence the mindsets of our children at a young age and change this narrative for our nation. The other day, I think in April or March, the webinar we had about budgeting, one of our panelists was, we saw two mindsets on the panel. One of our panelists was Natalie Bitatule. And you could tell from her engagement, she told us that from a young age, she learned about budgeting, about financial planning, about making financial decisions in an informed manner because her parents involved her in money making and in money decision making. On the other hand, where I believe most of us fall, we had mindsets where, as we were growing up, where money was for the old people. Our parents went out to make the money, they made the decisions. So for us, we grew up with a mindset of spending, because you only got money if they're sending you to the shop, or you got money as pocket money to spend, yeah? So they give you pocket money, you go and spend. So that's the mindset we've grown up with. So what do we do for our children? Do we want them to grow up with this mindset too? I believe, we at NSSF believe, that we can influence these mindsets at a young age, and we will have a better economy. And who is better to do it than a mother? If you look at, I came across an interesting quote from Michael Jordan. We all know Michael Jordan, the famous basketballer, who says that my mother is my root, my foundation. She planted the seed that I bet my life on. And that is the belief that the ability to achieve starts in your mind. So this is a great player. We see very strong. We see him on TV. We all admire him. But he attributes his success and his resilience to the influence that the mother had on him. So as mothers, we have a big job in front of us, and I believe that we can do this with our children. So today, in the discussion today, we'll get insights from a keynote speaker and a panel of audacious mothers that are going to talk to us about how do we introduce this subject in our homes. And I believe we can start from there. And I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome our keynote speaker. She's called Florence Nachimbugwe Subuga, Mrs. Florence is a senior executive with a distinguished 20-year career in the electricity sector. She started her career in Meet Cofax International, and she has grown through the ranks over the years. She's now the Chief Operations Officer, yes, at Umeme, and sits on the board of Umeme. She also serves on other local and international advisory boards. In 2020, 2015, Florence was awarded Outstanding Woman in Power Water by Africa Unity Week. She's also a mother to two beautiful daughters, Sanyu and Suvi. She has a strong community service record and is passionate about empowering young girls to lead. She's also a mentor with Girls for Girls, a voluntary global initiative aimed at empowering young girls to lead in the community. She seeks to learn and leave a positive impact with everyone that she interacts with. So Florence, you're welcome. Thank you.
A very good morning to all of you, those who are here with us in the room and those who are online. I'm really very excited to be here and particularly speaking to the theme regarding financial parenting, but also importantly, when Mother's Day is coming, I'm really very excited to be speaking to all of you and very eager to listen to you, hear your questions, share your experience, and to learn from you. I'll start with a quote. Money won the freedom to make it will, and that was by Nelson Mandela. When I was asked to speak about financial literacy, I said to myself, I'm not an expert. Okay, what am I going to speak about? However, I am a mother and a mother of two girls. I thought it was important to speak about my years as a child and how different those years were compared to what I am going through with my daughters. We'll start with a very brief introduction of my early life. My early life is not different from yours, the previous speaker, in terms of my experience with money. I grew up in an affluent area, Kololo, as a child. And my experience as a child drives what exactly I do today and what I've chosen to do with my children. I have had an opportunity to experience both worlds, an abundant world, and before I am 55, I had that opportunity. A world that was full of abundance and a world that was full of scarcity. So as a child, my parents really worked so hard. My dad was the sole breadwinner, and we got 101% support in terms of tuition, pocket money. I asked for 10,000, I got 100,000. Money was flowing in and everything seemed to be going on well. I don't recall having a specific conversation about money. However, my parents worked hard. Whereas my dad had a formal employment, he also did several other businesses. Because I saw my parents hustling, at the age of 12, I thought I could start my own business. I started by baking bread because my mother baked bread, and I took the bread to the airstrip. I started selling bread. I had no idea that I had to take stock of the inputs. So when I went to school, that business was forgotten. Unfortunately, when I finished campus, things turned south. When I finished campus, my first job, I was earning 80,000 shillings. And at that point, my dad was supplementing all my other expenses, so things were not that bad. Because of a wrong business decision, we almost lost everything that we had as a family. We woke up one day and we found ourselves homeless. Fortunately, I am a believer as well. So I prayed hard. Within a couple of months, I'd got another job and I was earning 500,000. Seeing this situation, seeing the struggles that we went through, moving from grace and coming down to not even having a home, not knowing where your next meal was coming from, the first thing that I did, I started saving 40% of what I was earning at a very early age. Why? I chose that I would be financially independent as I grow up. So it hasn't been easy. That journey still continues up to now, and I'll take you to the story of my children and what I am doing because of what drove me to do what I'm doing, to drive the financial independence. Looking at the topic, financial parenting, my understanding is it is teaching kids to be financially responsible. And when I gave birth, I was in the middle of my career. I am one of those parents who did not spend a lot of time with my children when they were young. I struggled balancing motherhood, spending time in those early years speaking to your children, and growing in your career. It was not very easy. What was the turning point? The turning point was when I lost my house help, who was very steady, and she was asking me and telling me and giving me advice about my own daughter. So that was my turning point. I think it was about 6 when I started engaging my children as far as finances were concerned, because I missed the early part. But research has shown and that kids, you can start talking about financial literacy as early as 3 years old. But I started talking to them about money when they were 6 years old. And this was when they were taking out their teeth, and I was talking about the mice giving them money, and I microphone on. Okay. I bought them piggy banks. I bought one a piggy bank, the younger one, and the older one a small wallet. So they put their money in the bank. This is when I started to observe the different behaviors, that the kids were different. The younger one kept her money and counted her money. The older one would throw the piggy bank anywhere, the wallet that she had. One time we traveled, and she forgot the wallet where we had traveled because she kept it in her handbag. So after starting, as they grew, I realized that I had to move to the next stage because I didn't want them to go through what I saw happening in my childhood. We had when their birthdays came, they would get money. We also developed a habit of going out on Sundays. Now, when we went out on Sundays, they ordered for so many things, and yet it was outside my budget. I keep a budget, a weekly budget, a monthly budget, and all that was outside my budget. So I started developing a habit of a budget together with them, and I had to incentivize them to be able to keep that budget. I told them, you have only 50,000. So when we go out, at that time they were about 8 years old and 9. When we go out, you will have to work within this amount of money. So when you save, you will keep the money to yourself. That is how I started speaking to them about money. I would request that you show the slide so that we can see the content of what I'm going to speak about, please. So as we started with, they started getting incentivized. Whatever money that they remained with, they kept for themselves. But as a parent, when a child, as they're young, you're still struggling with your finances, so they kept money. So we had a habit of borrowing with my husband, borrowing their money. So they were very keen on how much she had put together. So she kept on asking, but I had 80,000. You borrowed 20 and you have not returned it. That gave me an opportunity to start the process of ensuring that the money was kept safely and that they learned to hold each other accountable for the money. Forced, because the younger one was asking, I was forced to open for the account. Now, when I opened the bank account, I went with the younger one because the older one was in school. how many of us currently are speaking to our children about money, are doing those little things to start teaching them how to make money, how to keep money? This is how I taught my children how to keep the money. So I introduced them to the bank, and every time those emails come in, I share those emails with the kids so that they keep track of their bank balances. As they grew up, my engagement about money had to change. I started introducing work. I do not incentivize my children in form of money to do house chores. My thinking is that as an adult, as a child growing up, you need to learn to be responsible. You need to take care of yourself. So I do not incentivize them when they perform house chores. When they have a timetable, so they will do what they want to do, they have to do, and I do not pay them money. So what did I introduce as they grew up? When they completed P7, my mom was a headmistress at a nursery school. So I got my eldest daughter to start working at a nursery school, and I paid her behind the scenes. She didn't know that I was paying her. But the reason why I did that was to be able to introduce the aspect of work. Money does not just fall into your hands. You have to earn it. At what age do you teach your children that they have to earn money? And what incentives do you give them so that they can be able to earn the money? When she started working, she would spend the money without a plan. She didn't have a plan. They didn't have plans. They loved the house help. So after saving the money, they said they wanted to buy the house help a phone, which was a good thing. But I realized that there was a gap, that I had to start shaping their goals as far as saving is concerned. What are your goals in life? What is it that you're looking to achieve? That is what will drive you into the what needs to be done for you to achieve the financial independence that you're looking for. Otherwise, if we are just moving and just making money, money is worthless if it doesn't have any goal to it. The journey continued, and with time, I introduced the goals. They wanted to travel a lot because I used to travel while doing work. So I introduced goals. If you want to travel, you have to make at least 50% of the ticket. Introducing work, introducing travel. How? I included the incentive of performing well. Children are different. One of my daughters is academic, the other is creative. Now, the one who is creative had average grades. Now, the one who is academic had above average grades. So the one who is creative was worried about getting, because I set a benchmark, and I said, if you get above 90, I would give you this amount of money. But that forced the younger one to work hard. She worked hard, and at that time she was in primary 7, so they were doing exams every month, so 3 times a term, whereas the one who was in senior 1, they were doing exams once a term. It was amazing that the younger one was able to collect more money than half their ticket, and the older one did not. So what lessons do the kids draw from the experiences that you share with them, from what you expose them to? And as they grow, how do you continue stepping up and taking them to the next level? Many of us are doing businesses. Many of us are in formal employment. I am in formal employment. So I took advantage of that to expose my children, not only in formal employment, but also in other areas where money comes from. Now that they had learned, I had started with shopping lists, budgets, and all that, they had to move to the next level. So I started by exposing them to different careers. When we had auditors at work, I gave them a day, I exposed them a day with KPMG, a day at Umeme, and after every experience, they wrote a report. What did they learn? Are they interested in doing that? I have a friend, a relative, an in-law who has big shops downtown. So I also exposed the younger one to the shops downtown. The first day, they drove and parked somewhere, and they walked. By the day 7, they were taking border, and she was used to everything and getting to learn, and was actually giving advice. They were dealing in merchandise and clothing. So by day 3, she was telling them, why don't you arrange the clothes in sizes? When people come, you have to flip through the heap of clothing. Why don't you arrange the clothes in sizes? Now, you're teaching the kids to be responsible, whatever they are doing, whether it's finances, whether it's taking care of themselves, whether it's business, whatever they are going to do to earn the money that they want, they will have to be responsible. They will have to make certain decisions. So when I asked my daughter after those experiences, do you want to be an auditor? No, I do not think I want to be an auditor. We are at a stage where we are now shaping their goals. There's age 16 and 15, and the elder one will be going to college very soon. The kind of discussions that we are having right now are, how am I going to pay my tuition at college? Is there an opportunity for me to work at college? How am I going to get that? She's also part of the process, and she's wondering. She does the research. She can see how much it costs to go to college, and she's now profiling herself to be able to get a scholarship. Said, Mom, maybe I can look for a scholarship. During my vacation in July, I will start that process. When do you start these discussions? We need to start this discussion at a very, very tender age. I think if you could flash the lessons that we're drawing from this experience, because I'm summarizing my discussion. There's one thing that I want to also focus on, the fact that the kids are very different. During COVID, I got an opportunity to spend a lot of time with the children. The one who is age 16 was going to sit S4, so she was busy studying. And the younger one, they studied initially online, and the system faded away. So because she's very creative, I decided to take her to a beauty school. At the beauty school, she learned how to do makeup. And when she learned how to do makeup, I posted on the family chat. And I posted a picture of her, which you will see up. I think we can start with, let's go to the first slide. As I was talking, I was bringing out a couple of experiences and lessons, which I am going to summarize with this story. As I was, after training her to do makeup, I did support to market her. And every weekend, she will have just about 1 or 2 clients, and she charged 30,000 shillings. The reason why she charged 30,000 shillings is because she didn't have products. But she's right now saving the money when she does makeup. She does my makeup most of the times when she's around. She saves the money. She's able to buy her own airtime. And she's planning to buy products so that she can be able to charge 60,000. So parents, do not compare your children. Your children are different. Some of them are skilled. For those who are professionals, they want to model their children in a certain direction. Every child has a talent. It is our role as parents to identify and harness and see how you support the children to grow their talents. It is very important to support the children to grow their talents. It could be those talents, those gifts that the children will earn from and achieve the financial independence that they are looking for. Help them to discover themselves. Do not compare them because they are different. If a child is not academic, what are they good at? Are they good at football? Are they good at... And try as much as possible to harness that gift that they have. So, going to the lessons learned, the first lesson from my experience is the discipline. The discipline of understanding what money is, knowing what money is all about. It's very important. If you haven't got children yet and you're still young, please start as early as possible. Children need to understand how money is made, how money is kept, because you can make it and fail to keep it. Many of the people, we saw the statistics, they were presented to us. Only 5% of the savers have financial independence. Why? We have kept the money, or we have saved it, we don't know how to keep it. Then you can keep it, but you need to grow it. You can't just keep the money. You need to grow the money. You need to start from a tender age, educating your children, but they also see what you do. Those very little things that you do are teaching them life skills. I'm glad to be contributing to the agenda of NSSF in terms of financial literacy, and what a better way to start than now and not when they start earning money. So the second lesson that we're drawing is what I've just talked about. Every child has a talent. And I'll use a proverb. A man's gift opens doors for him and brings him before men. If you have a gift, if you're talented, if you're good at something, I have a picture on the next slide. You can scroll and show it. I think the picture before was a picture of my daughter, before we go to that one. This is my daughter, the one whose face stands out in black. You can see keenly the interest. She's leaning forward. She's actually leaning forward and learning how to do makeup. And that she's very creative. When she washes plates, she lines them up very, very straight. So we go to the next slide. The Williams sisters, Venus and Serena. So you can see their dad Richard, a black guy. You can imagine those days. He really, really struggled. I remember the story when he was struggling to get them onto a court. They were living in an area. It wasn't an affluent area where there were gangs, and he had to fight. He started training their kids when they were so young. He had other children from one of the wives that he had married before, but they were older. He decided to start training them, I think when they were 4 or below age 4, and they worked hard. He struggled to get a tennis court. It is because of the work that the dad did when they were young, putting in all the effort to make sure that they train, that they are what they are today. What are we doing as parents for our children? Have we identified those talents? Or are we waiting? The job market is really full today. I know it's a global village, but the job market is full. We can create jobs by enabling our kids to harness their gifts that God gave them. Next slide. Then, finally, you cannot enjoy money. Money is worthless unless you're making the money with a purpose. We need to teach our kids to be generous. We need to teach our kids to give back. We need to teach our kids to give to those who are less privileged. I know that some of us are still on the journey to become financially independent, and we could end up as part of that statistic. I know the numbers are going to grow now that we are here, but we could easily end up as part of that statistic, the 95%, who even with a saving do not achieve financial independence. But as a child, can you take care of your grandparents? Can you take care of your parents? Can you take care of those who are less privileged? What are you doing other than making yourself wealthy? What are you doing with that wealth? Teach your kids generosity. It is very important. As I end, I would just like to pose a question to us. Many of us as parents, we are too busy working for our children. We are too busy saving money. I remember some of my daughter's friends, young children in primary, talking about the apartments that they own at that tender age of 13, of 12. We are making some of those mistakes because we are absent. We are working hard. But who are we working for? I can't say I'm the best mother. I can't say I've done what needs to be done. But we should teach kids how to make their own money. We should equip them. We should give them the best education. We should teach them the best business skills. Let us involve them in our businesses. We keep talking about Indians. An Indian, from when they are born, they work with their parents. We are keeping money away. I know in the Bible, you have to leave an inheritance for your children. As I engage my children, I'm not talking about, what I have put out for them. It is about themselves. A friend of mine, their father kept on saying, when you breathe, do we breathe the same air? And I use that and I tell them, we are not breathing the same air. You breathe your own air. One day, my breath will be gone. You have to stand up on your own. The people who are listening to me, please teach your kids, equip them with skills to stand up on their own, because one day you will not be there. There may be so much right now, but that much can go away in a minute. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Florence, for sharing your story. I'm an ardent believer that individual stories are so authentic and the best to learn from, better than theory. So thank you for sharing of yourself, for giving of yourself, and sharing your story and the journey that you're taking with your children. And I believe that we have learned a lot to start that money discussion at home at an early age and teach our children the discipline of making, saving, and growing the money, and generosity at the end of it all. So I'd like to introduce our panel for the day. Florence, you'll please join the panel. And then our moderator today is Rachel Arini Twemwine. Most of us know her. She's not new to the media fraternity. She's the co-creator and co-host of the TV and web series Bump Love, a platform that brings discussion on motherhood and parenting to the fore. I must say that I watch Bump Love every time I post a new video. You're welcome. Rachel was a news anchor at NTV Uganda, where I believe most of us met her. We met her, and she brings a wealth of experience in media and communications, helping brands and organizations achieve their goals through communication. She's a wife and a mother. On our panel today, we are privileged to have Dr. Margaret Sekide. Dr. Margaret is a businesswoman, a mother and a grandmother, and a wife. Wow, what a profile. With over 25 years experience in running businesses. I'm sure she's also not new to us. She's the director of Seroma Hardware and Seroma Christian High School, among others. Her children have led successful careers both in the professional space and in the business space. So Dr. Margaret, you're welcome. We're glad to have you here. With us today, we are honored to have Brigadier Flavia Bekwaso. She is the UPDF spokesperson. She holds a bachelor's degree in business administration and a master in public administration and management degree from Makerere University. She's a mother and a parent to a house full of both biological and other children that the Lord has blessed her with. So Brigadier, you're welcome. Rachel, over to you.
Thank you very much, Agnes. I hope you can all hear me. As we give a minute to Brigadier Flavia to join us. Thank you so much for joining. Those of you that are watching online, we are happy that you could join us. I know it's an early, cold morning, but this discussion is very pertinent, like you've heard from our keynote address. And our keynote speaker today, as she spoke about her own experience on what she has done to introduce money and the concept of money and work to her own children. Before we get into our discussion, as I was thinking about our conversation this morning, I came across an article that I thought would help set the tone on top of what has already been said. And this article was talking about wealthy celebrities. You can't hear me? This article was talking about wealthy celebrities. Sorry about this. So this article was talking about wealthy celebrities and the fact that they don't intend to leave an inheritance for their children. Now, many times we look at these celebrities, we admire them, and we think to ourselves, their children are set for life. But there are people in the world who have made so much money and have decided we're not going to give our children handouts because they want to teach them the value of money. And I just wanted to read verbatim what some of these celebrities are saying. Many of them are known to us. The first one is Bill Gates, who unfortunately has been in the news for other reasons. But he is the founder of Microsoft. We all know that. And this is what he thinks. He says, youngsters should work and see how essential labor is. That's Bill Gates for you. And he says he doesn't intend to leave an inheritance or to leave money for his kids. Instead, he's going to give most of it away to charity. The other person is Simon Cowell. Simon Cowell is known from America's Got Talent. He's also known from American Idol. And he's made a lot of wealth for himself. And he says he doesn't believe in passing on wealth from one generation to another. And he plans to leave his money to charity. The other person that we absolutely admire is Jackie Chan from all the action movies that he has done. He's an amazing actor, and he says that his plans are not to leave any fortune to his children. And he said something that I found profound. He said, if his son is skillful, he can make his own money. If he's not, then he will just waste his father's money. And we've heard that being said over and over again. If you don't make your own money, or if somebody hands you something, chances are you may not value it as much as if you actually worked for it. And then Elton John says that they don't intend to leave an inheritance for their children. And he says that kids should not be given a silver spoon because it ruins their lives. He also intends to give away his wealth to charity. And then the last person, who is Gordon Ramsay, he's a celebrity chef. He says he and his wife believe that money isn't the most essential thing in the world. And so they teach their children not to spend life pursuing riches, per se. They do something radical when they're traveling. Their kids travel economy, and the parents travel first class. Now, these might seem like radical principles. Yeah, they might seem like things that are so far-fetched. These people make so much money. Why don't they just open up some trust fund for their children so that the kids are set for life? I mean, they love their children after all. And maybe just to draw the context back home, and Florence has already said a lot of what we are seeing with our children here in Uganda and in the African context. We see a lot of early gratification. A child makes money, or they get a job and they get their first salary and maybe go to a bar to celebrate, or go and buy clothes or shoes or buy a flashy car, rather than save or invest. And we see a lot of misuse of money, and obviously that starts from somewhere. Like Agnes pointed out, most of us grew up knowing that money is there to be spent. We don't understand the concept of budgeting or saving or investing. And today we want to talk about how we can start to reverse these trends that we are seeing in terms of use of money, and how we can make sure that our children have a better relationship with money than we did and than our parents did. So let's start, at the beginning. We talked about financial parenting. Florence helped us define that. Maybe just to hear from each one of you how you have demonstrated financial parenting in your homes and how your children have responded. Brigadier, are you ready to start? Yes, better.
Yes, a very good morning to all of us. Just like our keynote speaker said, when I was also told to come to this, I'm like, oh my God. Now, I'm not a financial expert at all. But when I talked to Annette, Annette said, no, you're going to tell us those things that you're doing, practical things that you've done. So yes, I have done something. If we go back to one, like what is financial parenting, the keynote speaker has already defined, and these are just ways of how we want to raise our children. We want to bring the issues of money, how to teach them financial habits, anything concerning finances. So I started as a person. I'll not give my history because of the time, but growing up, unfortunately, I did not have the privileges our keynote speaker said.
Yes.
But I also grew up sometimes in a situation where there's some bits of money, especially by my grandmother, because I didn't grow up with my mother. But I used to see her, and where we were in the village, they used to call her Madivani, but out of very simple things like selling cigarettes. Making local brew. And sometimes when I talk about myself, and I don't want to shy away from this because I've seen that all these are inspirations to people, especially usually when I think about girls, and I think about the different backgrounds that we go through. And I usually talk about it because I've seen that no amount of anything should deter someone from reaching where they want to be. For example, me, because my father was a teacher, a primary teacher, but a headmaster, but a primary teacher, but who didn't earn much, salaries of teachers. And then I said, okay, I'll never be like my dad because I thought we were deprived. Of course, when you're a kid of a primary teacher or a headmaster, they do a lot of things for you. The children will bring the firewood. They bring those small things. They will fetch water for the headmaster. They'll do those things. But you were poor. So I said, okay, the only thing that is going to make me reach where I want to be is through studying. Yes, but that's aside. Now, my child, what have I done? I have one boy, though I've also raised others. But to Simon particularly, when we were starting, we did not have money. I was just an officer in the army. In the army, we don't get salaries. We get very little pay. When I started in, I think around 98, I think only earning maybe 190, okay, around 120. I was in Presidential Protection Unit. There we had a privilege of adding us something like 80,000, which we used to call food basket. So I was earning that much. But then, so when Simon came into my life, that was it. It was not much money. But when I started as teaching him, of course, as we all do, going to the shop, teaching him to ask him for balance. I always told him at 3 years, I say, Simon, go and buy for us something to eat. And that is maybe 500 shillings. Go and buy a chindazi for us to take tea. So one time he went and bought the 500 shilling I had only for breakfast. And then when he went, we were on a storied building. When he came home, I was on the 3rd floor, he sat on the 2nd floor and shared the bindazi with the other kids.
Other people.
So I said, should I beat this boy? I said, no. I didn't. I said, no, he's being what our keynote speaker said about generosity. I said, if I beat him, to take this spirit away from him. So I said, oh, Simon, now we had only this. You have given it away, sorry, but I didn't. But then that is when I started. I started teaching him. But that much, and let me bring in here a small lesson from myself. Consistency at what we are doing. Because I'm now seeing that at that point in time, I was not very consistent. I knew I had to do something about this, but I did not consistently do it. So we continued. When he went from P1 to P5, he was in a day school. He was in City Parents. I had brought him to Kampala to City Parents. So when he went to P6 and P7, I took him to Kaboja. Of course, through struggling, we took him to Kaboja. Then that's when I started now introducing slowly saving. I noted he was, it is very hard when you're raising up a lone child. They have no one to copy from. So sometimes he will ask, am I the firstborn or the lastborn? So, that kind of thing. Mommy this, mommy that. And... but before that, even as they are growing up, this business of picking a coin. So one time I got him, and this is just to go back a little. One time I found him at the garage eating chikomando. And then I asked Simon, what are you doing? Why are you hiding while eating? Have you stolen? He said, oh, mommy. I said, who gave you this money to go and buy chikomando? He said, okay, mommy, I said, okay, you picked my money, you touched my money, my coins. Now, I want you to go and write for me down how many times you have picked the 200 or the 100 or the 500 coin without my permission. I said, mommy, forgive me. That is another lesson to parents. I made him write. Such that I said, commit yourself that you'll never do this again. So he went, mommy, I'm sorry, I've stolen your money 12 times. I've stolen my money 12 times, mommy, but forgive me, I'll never do it again. I said, okay, I've forgiven you. But then now you know that taking money, mommy's money, those coins, is not good. So that was another lesson that I committed him. Do not touch money which is not yours. And even when you have it, you don't have to buy something and hide it while you're eating. I said, you're stealing. Don't do this. So we started slowly like that. But to cut the story short, I started with teaching him how to save. And then like Mrs. Nsubuga said, incentivizing them along certain lines. Mine was also about saving. Because we all know that without saving, you may not be able to reach where you want to go. So I told him that, Simon, now you're going through, you've finished primary, because in primary they were not allowed pocket money. But once he went to Chitovu, I said, now, Simon, I'm going to give you money, I'm giving you your pocket money. But I also want to save. I want to teach you how to save. Now what you're going to do for me, if you save whatever money you're going to save, I'll be doubling it for you to keep. So if I give you money, if I give you 80,000 or 100,000, and you'll be able to bring me 50 back, I'll give you another 50. And then we agreed and we opened up an account. Unfortunately, that lesson did also not pick very much. He would tell me, I saved, but now I've used. I've saved, but now I use. We opened up an account. He says, okay, mommy, I brought you this 20. I said, okay, now this is another 20 you take to the account. But then that also, along the way, I lost my finances, so I resorted to his account. So the issue of the account also did not go much, because I had, at a certain point, I lost, I think, what I had, like you're saying, sometimes you lose what you have. I had a business which collapsed. And then we had saved around 900,000. I went and borrowed and I never paid it back. So the issue of the account stopped there. The issue also of the pig bank, which I had also started, he told me that, no, mommy, I asked, where is your because we wanted to count this money, where is the money? He said, now Tim stole my money, we had a cousin. Now Tim. So that is, in all this, and also, of course, when now he's growing up, he has grown up. Oliver, we didn't do much, because I used his savings, but he also was not saving very much the way he wanted it, but I had introduced on talking to him. Of course, we keep on talking, and never stopping to talk. Sometimes they get infuriated. Sometimes they think you don't appreciate them. Sometimes they think you're overburdening you. But it is something that we cannot stop. So he's at the university now. In his vacation, that's when I started now introducing the idea of work for money. Work for money. And this is what I always tell him, that I'll have the money because I've been in Parliament. So I got some little money now in Parliament. So I said, okay, now I'm in Parliament. I told him, Simon, do not think I'm going to give you money. And he thought, because when he was joining his HSI, I asked Simon, now how much pocket money should I give you? In your opinion, how much should I give you? He said, okay, maybe you can give me 300,000 will do. I said, 300,000? I said, no, I'll not give you 300. I know I can afford to give you the 300,000, but I'll not. So when he finished his vacation, when he came into vacation, I told him, Simon, now, for you to get my money, it's going to be a reward. I'm not going to give you free money, but you're going to earn it. So if you want to earn from me, if you want to get money from me, let it be a reward. Do work, and then I'll give you money. So he said, he started by, he said, but now I want a phone. I said, go and work for that phone or do something. So, and I usually want to encourage him, and I've always encouraged him, not to look where he cannot reach, but to start where he is. To start with those very odd things. And me, I don't care. I told him I do not care whether you're a son from a member of Parliament being seen at a construction site, carrying this, doing that work. Of course, the father would say, no, that cannot be. How can a child of an officer and a member of Parliament and this kind of thing be seen doing this? I said, no. He has to go through all this, because this is where I've also started. We have all struggled, from those small things. So to keep it short, so I introduced him to digging. We had a small banana, small piece.
At your home?
Yes, at our compound.
Okay.
So I said, can you please weed that banana plantation? It is small. I'll give you a phone. The other point I've introduced, like Nsubuga said, is that through getting whatever they are working for. I said, for example, a phone. If you want a phone, I know at a time when I want to give it to you. But if I've not seen your results, I will not give you a phone. Because the point was, get me these so many points, and then I'll be able to buy you that phone you want. So before those points come out, and you want a phone because your friends have phones, then do that work, and then you go and your man and buy your phone. So that's how we did it. And he said, how can I dig? I've never dug. I've never held a hoe. And this is another lesson, because people have grown up in a flat. So I stay in a relatively nice place. Growing up in Kampala, in a storied house, a big compound, how can this boy be told to go and dig? Others are going to say, even other parents are going to say, how do you, belittle your child? Because they think digging or going is for another class. To me, there is no class. So that one is another lesson I've taught him. He went into the garden. Of course, he didn't know what he was doing, but I said, you're a man, and men learn. Digging or holding a hoe is not taught in class. A man can be subjected to a condition and should be able to go through that. So that was another lesson. And today he's a proud owner of a 2-acre garden of ginger. Yes, and I of course I didn't, I wish I had flashed it, but I have it on my phone, I can show. So today through that, he has now learned that yes, money is earned. He has learned, the other lesson he has learned, he knows, mommy has money or daddy has money, but nothing of that belongs to me. I have to make my own money. And he have always told me, but mommy, I've never seen you happy. I want you to travel. I want you to do this. Enjoy your money. So one time I said, what about my son? If I use this money like that, how about my son? He said, no, I'll make my money. You enjoy your money. So that is another lesson, that he knows he has to work for his money. He knows he has to fend for himself. He knows that this house does not belong to me, because being one child, someone will be saying, no, but this is my house. I'm the only child. Yes, of my mother. So whatever she has belongs to me, and naturally that's what it is. But that is not the attitude, because I've deliberately made sure that actually what belongs to me, even inside I know it says, but I can never tell it to him. And I've always said, what is mine. And I've always told him, you will only share my wealth if you measure up. I said, if you do not, I'll take this and give away opportunities. So I think in the interest of time,
Yes.
I can keep it there.
Thank you very much, Brigadier. You really have answered the question in depth, and what I think I hear you say is that you have taught your son the value of saving, the value of work, and that you don't just receive money. The money has to be earned. And I'm happy to hear that he actually has his own property now, based on the lessons that you have taught him. Yes. Dr. Margaret, you are a business owner, and you have been for a very long time. You have children, you have grandchildren. Could you walk us through very briefly how you have practiced financial parenting with your children?
Praise God. This is the way I greet. I'm called Dr. Margaret Sechide. I'm not a doctor by professional, although I'm a mother of doctors. I was honored a doctorate from America in humanity. I'm a businesswoman. I'm a married woman to a retired lieutenant colonel of the army and a canon in the church. I'm a businesswoman by God's calling, because I've never gone to school to do business. No, I was just, by the way, my education, I stopped in S4 because my parents had separated and there was no school fees. So I started working as a toddler. And I tried to go back to school, did some little courses, but I don't have a degree. But I have a degree in being a mother and in business by God's, way. I am a businesswoman. I started saving myself. I knew that I had no papers on my table to look for jobs, although I was given a job because I started my first job. I started working in the army shops, and I was elevated to managerial manager of the army because of my hard working. I knew that I had no papers. I have to prove to my bosses that I'm a hard worker. And by then, army shops were closed in 1995. I was a manager, but a manager who had no degree, but leading people with the degrees to prove that I was able to do what I was given. When they closed those shops, I had saved. I knew that one day I'll have no job. And by then, we were saving in wooden boxes. If you know, some of you are old like me, you know these ones, my sister, how do they call them? Where the children are saving. For us, we used to make, wooden boxes. Here, I got a husband from the army, and as my sister says that in the army, they were not getting a lot of money, and I started now getting children. I would save even school fees from 1st January to 31st December in that wooden box. But I said, I was determined to take my children to the best schools. And I tried my level best. When the salary of my husband would come, also add on the little I had, and I take them to good schools. I am a mother of 6 children and a grandmother of 9 children. But a mother of multitude of children. I've taken many children to school, the unprivileged children. As you know, that we have a school, Seroma Christian High School. In fact, we have even a foundation there whereby we are taking children to school, those who have nothing, literally, have nothing. Then when the army shop closed, I had saved my money. By then, I had opened an account in Barclays Bank, which was ABSA, and saved the little money. When they closed, I wonder, then, I think by then, I was a good Catholic. Then I gave my life to Christ in 1995. And I wonder how I started the business of cement. Just had a friend and said, okay, why don't you start this business? And I used the money which I saved. The little money which has now produced a bigger company whereby everybody admires it. So I started in Nakasero Market on Market Street. The shop was called Wandagia in a smaller space. That's where I started trading hardware until I grew big. And my husband was still in the army. Then when he retired, he joined me under business. I have trained my children because this was in me from the day one. And I told them, you must save money. And you know, when you are not an additional valuer on anything, whether your parents have a lot of money and you don't know how to manage this money, when they are away tomorrow, everything will go. Because you have not trained children how to save, to add value on whatever they find. So I have my first girl, my daughter, she's called Amelia Chambade. She has all the names of the minister, but she's different. She's my daughter. She got her, in fact, it was very funny when I'll tell you another story, maybe another day. She's married. She has 4 children. She started saving her money. And because she knew that mom loves the unprivileged ones, they grew up seeing that mommy helps the poor. So with her savings, she would pay school fees for one unprivileged girl. And she paid school fees from senior 3, from her little saving, until this girl finished university. And even she took her for masters. And this is a girl now who is learning Seroma Christian High School as the residential director. She was once employed in Barclays Bank, but now she learns the school, and at the same time, she has her own shops. These are Bridal World and Kids World, Teens World. These are shops of my daughter. Through saving, I know how to use money. My second born, he's a doctor. He also saves. He used to save a lot at school. Even when my second born and my third born, whenever I used to go to school, the bursar, because they would take their pocket money to the bursar, and the bursar told me, but Margaret, how did you train your children? These boys, they get only 1,000 shillings every day for a bottle of soda. And you give them more money when they still have money. This one, he's a doctor. He's now a consultant. He's, in fact, a very good gynecologist. He's called Dr. Castro Robertson Chusule. He studied very well. By then, we were okay. There were children who were living now a good life because the parents had gone up. So he studied very well, and he went to Cape Town for his second degree to specialize in gynecologist. And here comes, he was the best in Cape Town University. And he, in fact, his research was the best in the whole of South Africa. And he was given a job in UK, but we as business people and the parents had to sit and told him, come back, please. You know, these people, when they say good brain, they want to hijack it. So he's now heading the complicated cases in Zambia Hospital, and he has his clinic called Alexandra Medical Center on Yusuf Road. He's a very good gynecologist. Try him. My third born is an engineer. He did civil engineering. That one, we told him, you have to work with us to show him how things are done. Since he did civil engineering, it so matches with the cement we are selling. So that one also is a good saver, and he has also his own business. He's doing blocks and pavers.
Doctor, would you say that the basis of your financial parenting has been teaching your children how to save? Because
Yes.
you've gone through most of your kids, and what I hear you saying is that you have taught them how to save, and therefore they are who they are now. And the wealth that they have garnered is because they were taught how to save from a young age.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe just in the interest of time, I want to quickly go to Florence. You've already sort of taken us through how you have demonstrated financial parenting, but you said something that struck me. You said you don't believe in incentivizing chores. And yet, Brigadier said that she got her son to learn the value of work and earning money through, getting him to do something in order to receive a payment. Could you expound on why you don't believe in incentivizing chores, and maybe how parents can go about teaching the value of work maybe without using chores?
Thank you very much for that question. It comes from my upbringing. When we grew up, being initially the only girl among boys, all of us had to participate in house chores. And whether boy or girl, we all woke up very early in the morning and cleaned the house. And I realized that some of those skills that we learning to take care of ourselves, is what took us through school. Today in school, when you drop off kids at school, you realize that some parents are picking clothes to wash them. I did not buy a washing machine until about 4 years ago, but that was deliberate. I started teaching the children to wash their clothes with their hands, I think when they were about 8. And I realized if I was going to incentivize them, it would become, what if I didn't have, probably I incentivize them by encouraging them, thanking them, but not money. Because some of those basic skills are basic requirements of grooming yourself. Some of those skills can prevent you from achieving your goals. How you present yourself, how your appearance, even before you start speaking, you have to show that you're well groomed. So it's from that background that I took a decision, I will not pay you for house chores. Recently, I tried to ask my daughter to wash the car because I used to wash the car from when I was young. And I think she heard from her friends that they were being paid. So she asked me, how much am I going to pay her? I said, I'm not going to pay you. Based on my understanding of the need to learn those basics for you to survive in life where I will not be, I just took a decision. But what works for me may not work for another parent.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I understand that, and I appreciate parents who are doing it differently. What is most important is to equip the child with a skill.
Yeah, Brigadier seems to have a rebuttal. Over to you. Your microphone.
Not say I incentivized chores. The incentive was on how to teach him how to save. That when you save for me, or when you save out of your pocket money, I'll add on. Because I knew, sometimes like the way Subuga said, sometimes you need to understand the character of your child.
Yeah.
Because I was, from an early age, I saw Simon as someone who is a bit extravagant and a spendthrift. He's one person who every time wants to spend what he has. So to say that it's important for you to keep some money, I said I would add for you just to teach the other issue of, but house chores, no, 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 because there is even a time, I think, and that was during his vacation, I stopped the water bills. I said the water to be cut off, such that they would go and fetch, because sometimes when these guys are in flats, they have no work to do, you know, and you want to teach them, you know, to be men, to be strong and that kind of stuff. So I said, now what should I do? I will not tell them to go and dig. I have nothing for them to do, you know. This business for me of waking up and one cleans the house, the other one washes utensils, and maybe the maid is cooking. I said it was not enough for me. I thought it was not enough work. So I told the other guys of water, National Water, that cut off this water. So they would go and fetch water from where the rest of the children around us are doing it, just to tell them you're not any different from them. Yes.
So like Florence said, I don't think there is anything wrong per se with incentivizing house chores. Actually, I believe you'd be killing two birds with one stone, teaching them to do chores and then showing them the value of, you know, you work and then you earn some money. And like she said, you know, different strokes for different folks. What works for one home may not work for another home. Maybe let's talk a bit about your thoughts on how parents can now start introducing the concept of money. As we are here, your children are older. Dr. Margaret, your children have their own property, they have their own businesses. How would you advise parents to start talking about money? You know, we've heard that talk about it from as young as the age of 3, for example. How would you talk to a 3-year-old about money? How would you introduce this concept so that the moms that are watching, because I know that many mothers that are watching want to hear, how do I do it? You know, what worked for you may not work for me, but what's the general sense of how I can go about introducing the concept of money?
First of all, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of what? Wisdom. And Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6 says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. So, because I have a school and I've seen how children are very lazy. Some of them don't know even how to peel matoke. We train them, imagine in secondary. These are the things we started with when we were toddlers. When we were 2 years, 3 years, you fetch even water when you are 3 years. By then, there were no jerrycans. We would go with a tin, and you bring any amount of water. Eh? So my appeal to the parents, you start training your children when they are still toddlers. I mean, when the child has now started understanding, talking, and you know, we have told even the parents, teach even your children what sex is. If you don't teach your children what sex is, outside of your gates, outside there, they will teach them things that you will not love to hear. So, as my sister says, you have to start teaching the children how to brush your teeth, how to prepare your bed, how to clean the house, how to, you know, at school I always tell them, please, when you go back home, don't let the housemaids stay in your home. Let them get holidays, and also you do work. Some of you earn to go to Europe, you earn to go to US, you earn to go outside there. There are no house girls. There are no house boys. You have to learn to do these things, because tomorrow, if you happen to go outside there, you have to do these things, because these are essential things. But some parents, when they get money, they think money will do everything for the children. No, you have to teach them essentials. You have to teach them how to save the money. You have to teach them the priority things. There are things which are not priority. Ice cream is not a priority, or the child will need to eat it once in a while. Teach them sweeties. Sweetie is very bad for the teeth. One of my grandsons told the father, no, don't buy me sweet. Jaja told me I'll lose all my teeth. I don't want to be mapengo. Are you getting me? And when you teach them as early, as young as they are, they will never forget, as the Bible says so. So let us learn how to, even discipline. A child without discipline is paramount on this planet. You cannot manage in any institution when you have no discipline. Discipline also starts from home. You don't expect a school to teach your child discipline. Teach them that even in throwing a rubbish, you must pick it. and put it where the dustbin is. So this is, my cry is, please, dear parents, let us not spoil our children because you have money. Tomorrow money might not be there, and money is not everything. One of my daughter got married and the husband said, we are not going to have a house girl or a housemaid. We shall stay together for a year until the baby comes. Now imagine if you don't know how to clean, you don't know how to cook, you don't know, although you will go on WhatsApp and what, but still you will not do it the way you were trained when you were a young child. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Florence. How would you advise parents to introduce the concept of money? Just give them tips on how they can start this conversation with their children.
Thank you very much. Before I go to the advice of teaching kids, parents, how to teach kids the concept of money, I would just like to comment, and you said we've already done it, our kids are old. For one who is out there, and probably you missed a certain stage and you haven't taught your kids, and your kids are probably now older and you're struggling, it hasn't been a smooth journey for me either. The one thing I want to encourage you, you can seek help. At one point when my kids became teenagers, I had to seek support of a counselor. At times the kids, you wish for them to go in a certain direction and they may not. Seek professional support for not only the child, but even for you as a parent to be able to steer your child in a different direction. Research has shown that you can still change or influence behavior when the kids are still teenagers. So please don't give up. So regarding how you can introduce money to kids, I'm not an expert, but from what I have read, from as early as 3, you can start by the piggy bank, teaching them to count. Today there is technology. You find that kids, as young as 3 years, they can navigate an iPad. Small little concepts like budgeting. Get a simple Excel spreadsheet, and I've seen this, it has been researched. Kids can count 1, 2, 3. So do those simple little things. Start by listing the things that the child can understand. A toy, a bicycle, and so on and so forth. List them down. Put the amount of money, put numbers onto it. Now, the kid will slowly start picking up some of those concepts of tracking what is it that they want. As they grow up, then you start introducing the planning, the shopping list, the incentives in stages. For a child who is as young as 3, yes, you can start talking to them. Even as young as 3, much as they may not articulate everything the way you want to, if you keep talking to them, with time, they will get to understand the concept. It is a process. You have to be deliberate. As a parent, it is not easy, especially given that most of us are working, you're in business, you're running businesses, but you have to take time. You have 24 hours, 8 hours of sleep if you do. Please, you have to spend time with your children. There is no shortcut. Yeah, and the COVID period has demonstrated that to us, has brought us home to where we are supposed to be the people who are dear to us and matter to us most. So be deliberate, learn. There are very many applications that can also teach you as parents to how you can be able to introduce the subject of money to your young child. Please go on and read. Don't only be on Snapchat. Yeah, please find time to get some valuable information from the phones and the iPads that you carry.
All right. Thank you so much for those insights. I like what you said, that there is no shortcut. You have to be able to spend time with your children and, help them process this information as much as possible. There are a couple of questions that are coming through, and if you have one, please do post them, and we'll have our panelists answer them. This one's going to you, Brigadier Biekwa, so it's actually a bit of a comment and a question. When you talked about trying to teach your son the value of saving, and you said, if you come back home and you have this amount of money, I will double it. And someone is saying, hey, won't children borrow from their friends at the end of the term to get double from their parents? What do you have to say about that?
think some of the things about taking risks. And yes, when you set out to do something, you don't know what it's going to bring out, but you're looking for the principle. So if he's that cunning and can be even able to think of even borrowing from their friend for them to be able to earn twice. So for, what is important is understanding. To me, what is important is understanding the principle. If the outcome, of course, is negative, which is not most likely, of course, it's unfortunate. But remember that along the way, when you're doing whatever you're doing, we are not doing it in exclusive of other things. So you're teaching them to do this, but you're also teaching them a lot of other values, discipline. And usually the best time I've seen to talk to the children is during prayer time. Because you're using the Bible, you're using the Word of God. I'm not like Margaret, who is, a professed, yes, but I use a lot of that time to actually teach them. And I've seen it has a lot of impact because you see them reflecting, you see them understanding. And one time I was talking to my son, just of recent, and he was telling me, "Nti mama," and that's what he said, "Mama mu Luganda, sizanyisa abazadde." I appreciate a lot my parents. One of the reasons I appreciate you so much, my parents, is because you've taught me discipline, you've taught me how to fear God and how to love God. Above all, you have taught me how to work hard. That because when I'm at the university and you see how children behave, then you turn back and appreciate your parents. So to that question is, you're teaching them how to do this, but you're also teaching them discipline and values. So such that it's all around and yes, a round lesson. It's not one about money, but it's about money, the value of money, why it is important that they should save, but why also that they need to do it in an upright way. And I've actually told Simon that, Simon, there is a lot of money in deals, the way it is today. But I always tell him, please make sure you never ever go into cutting deals, because I think it's a bit immoral, depriving others of what belongs to them through, fraud and cunningness. I've told him, please never. Money is through working for it and earning it genuinely. Yes.
Very pertinent points there. Someone here is saying children these days, times have changed. They do not want to hear our parents' money challenges while growing up. I remember when we were growing up, our parents always said, "I don't have money, I don't have money." When you asked for things, it was always, "I don't have money." And we'd always wonder, but this parent of mine who goes out to work every single day, and they're saying they don't have money, how can we help our kids appreciate the money challenges that we go through? Now we are working, we are toiling, you have to budget for school fees, save money for this, save money for that. How do we help them appreciate those challenges? I would like for Florence and Margaret to comment on that.
Thank you. I will share my experience during COVID. When COVID started, definitely the activities in the home were different. I spent more time at home. My kids spent longer than 3 months at home. So there was that panic buying. So bought so many things. And in 2 weeks, almost everything that I thought would last 3 months was getting finished. But I realized that these people were here, they were walking in my face, and were all getting angry at each other. So I decided to call a meeting, because I was being deliberate about improving parenting. So I called them and we sat in a meeting. Under normal circumstances, I would be saying, "I've spent so much money, you're eating too much." But this time around, I called them to a meeting and asked each one of them, "How much do you think we are spending on average a week?" And they all stared me in the eyes. I broke it down. "How much do you think we are spending on electricity? How much do you think we are spending on water? How much do we think we are spending on food?" And they made wild guesses. So I asked them to take time off and go to their bedrooms and work out a list and tell me how much we were spending. in a month. So they came back. When they came back, surprisingly, because together with my niece, 3 of them, one of them was close. So they said, "What? You mean we really spent that amount of money?" I said, "Yes. And do you realize that we are not working, or in terms of productivity, so much is not going on?" So they now understood how much it is we were spending. And other than telling them that there is no money, we decided to solve the problem together. And I told them, how can we bring down the electricity bill? How can we bring down the water bill? How can we bring down the food bill? I assigned responsibility. You're in charge of hygiene. You're in charge of water. You're in charge of ABC. If you reduce the bill by so much, we'll share the savings. We'll share the savings. Again, the principles, the skills, then why do we have to save? We are not certain about the next meal tomorrow. We need to save so that we can invest. What more can we do with this money? It all boils down to the basics. But how do you get your children involved? When you scream, actually they gave me feedback, how I used to behave previously and how I behave now. They gave me a rating of 5 out of 10 on communication, and they said previously I was at 2, because we were able to have meetings and discuss, and I can tell you, all the lights were switched off in the evening, the taps were closed, the toilet was not flushed as it was previously flushed, and they ate at least 2 foods at breakfast and not 3 or 4 or 5. So it's how you do it, what you do, your actions, other than screaming and shouting. Let's involve the children. Don't struggle to go to the supermarket. Go with them. Show them the receipts. I showed them the receipts at the end of the day for them to know whether they are saving or not. So involve your children in the planning.
Okay, I like that you actually talk to them and, give them an assignment. Tell me how much you think we are spending on electricity. And I think growing up, our parents didn't really involve us. Like Agnes put it, when we were growing up, our parents went out, made money, and then came back. Our job was to spend as and when they sent us. And that's all we knew about money. That's the relationship we had with money. There's a message here from Namanya Maureen, and she says, when my husband comes from work daily, he gives our girls the coins from his bag, and they take to their banks. If you leave money on the table, one can pick it and put it in their piggy bank. And she asks, is giving money to the children to put in the piggy bank okay? What other better ways can I do this? Doctor, do you want to respond to this?
Praise God. Of course, where do you expect the children to get money? Do you want them to go and save money? It is you, the parents, to show your children that you have to save. When you give them the money and they save it, that is very good, other than giving them money to spend anyhow. Me, I would think it is very much okay to give the children money and learn how to save. Yeah.
One other question, and then maybe Brigadier, you can respond to this. There's a question here. Someone was saying, please guide us on, especially the mothers who don't want their boys to do any manual work at home. So I was trying to figure out how this relates to financial parenting, and it made me realize that, some of these men grow older, get married, and they're lazy to look for jobs. So when they lose a job, they sit in the chairs, raise their feet, and the wife is the one now running around trying to earn a living for the family. How would you advise a mother of boys who is going through this struggle?
I think if there are mothers out there who do not want their boys to get involved in working, they are just funny. Because I just can't imagine being in front of a man who cannot fix anything small in the house, but the woman has to do it. And usually women do not want, I think, men of that nature. So even that kind of marriage will be a disaster. And this is what I've always told my boys, because I have also other boys. And this is what I've told them, that never allow the woman to be, never allow the woman to be in charge of things that you cannot fix a small you can't fix a light in the house and you're the man. You can't fix a hot plate and you're the man. That you have to call all the time, or you have to call other people to fix for you. I just avoid it myself. So I just want to tell, I think mothers out there to let the boys be men. It's even a man who is masculine in nature. I think women are more attracted. If I'm not mistaken, women are, of course, are attracted to men who are more, who show masculinity in their houses, who show that they're in charge of certain things. Not that women are not going to do certain things in the house, but the man should really, I think so. It's not because of this era of saying that we are equal, we are what, but there are those things that we want to see in a man. So let there not be babies, you call what? Mommy's boys and that. Let them be men, yes.
Thank you very much for that. And of course, you are raising sons, so I believe that advice is very important. And to mothers of sons, I think it starts at an early age. That's something that we have heard. Dr. Margaret talked about that. So start when they're still young and teach them the value of work and teach them the value of making money, because then that's what they'll pass on to their families eventually. Another question here, and then we'll have a question from the audience. So if there's anyone who has a question, please get ready with it. How can we teach children to know the actual value of money? Someone is asking that their sons casually ask for 50,000 shillings as if it is 200 shillings, And she's saying, please share examples to demonstrate to them that 50,000 is not a simple amount of money. How do you teach them that value of, okay, so 50K is weighty, and you don't just ask for it or you don't just get it. There are certain things that you need to do, perhaps, to earn this amount of money. Yes.
Partly, and I see it also in my son, that he tends to think, he will say, Mama, ntera kao, mpaye chabidi. There is asking like for 200,000. And you say, what? So I think we have to insist. Where you think this thing, because I've seen him actually when like you go for shopping, or he wouldn't mind asking for, when you go with him to the supermarket, he wants to pick a roll-on of 30,000. Because perhaps he has seen it with the other children, their parents who give generously. They wouldn't mind give their children 100,000 or 200, whatever, just a roll-on. So me, I've insisted. I say that do not live beyond your means. For as long as it's me who is paying, I'll not pay for that roll-on, which is 30,000. I'm going to pay for the roll-on, which is 5,000, because I know at the end of the day, they serve the same value. I used to tell him also that, like when he would go for swimming, he would want to go for a swimming pool which charges, for example, 10,000, and yet there are swimming pools which charge 5,000. So I would insist and say, I'm not giving you money for the 10,000 swimming pool. I'm giving you money for the 5,000 swimming pool, such that he knows. And I've always told him that even when you get rich, today it's my money, I can be able to dictate. But I always tell him that even if you go and make your money, if you're a spendthrift, that for you always want to, because that mentality is too much in them, and in all of us, by the way, not even in our children. If you went to a shop, and I also do it, if you went to a shop and asked for a bag, and they told you, this bag, how much is this? 50,000. How much is this? 300. What would you go for? What would you go for? You're going to go for the 300, because you're going to say, how can a bag cost 50,000? You're going to think, because the tendency we've had as Africans or as Ugandans is we attach value of something, or durability of something, to the price, which is definitely wrong. Yes, so that is a lesson that, of course, we have to struggle every day to teach our children, that, like you're saying, not to think in terms of, not when she thinks that he will tell you, my son can tell, Mama, mpa muchimiru leero mpulira njagala kulya ku kyetaano. Give me 50,000. I say, but me, why I can't even eat me 50,000. So I use myself and say, if I can't use 50,000, I can't give it to you. Yes. So we have to insist on the children. We have to insist on what we think is the correct thing. Yes.
Right. Is there any question from our audience? Anyone wants to ask our panelists a question? Okay. If there is none, I want us to end on one note. You did talk about in your keynote address identifying, your children's gifts and talents, because that is what they are going to use to create wealth for a lot of them. How do parents go about harnessing their children's gifts and talents? Or maybe let's start by identifying them and then growing those talents in a way that they can monetize.
Thank you very much for the question. There are a couple of ways. You cannot do that, first of all, when you're absent. You have to be present as a parent to watch your kids. And that we've been talking about. I'll just give you a typical example. I watched my child who is creative. I told you, I watched her wash the dishes and the plates were in a straight line. And I watched her draw pictures, and she's a fine artist. And I keep asking, do you want to, how can I support you? Then they say, you keep trying out things. When they were younger, I took them for ballet classes. Those nice and little things that you do for little girls, you keep exposing them and watching them. And even you as a parent, what information do you have? I talked about the Williams, where the dad, out of watching a match and seeing how much the winner earned, I think that time it was over $40,000 US, he decided, no, I need to teach my girls how to play tennis. Now, what information are we equipping ourselves with that we are also equipping our children with? How are we exposing them? So that as you expose them, you identify, you don't have to zero down to or narrow down to something when they are still young. Allow them, give them options. Recently, my daughter, the younger one, who is creative, said she wants to be an interior designer. And I reinforce, much as when she was younger, I did emphasize grades and I supported her to read. Up to now, I still teach math. As I did that, I was able to pick out her strong areas. I was able to pick out the fact that the older one is more academic. And I did try to harness where the younger one, who is creative, was strong at, and expose her and reassure her, do you want to go to, do you want to be a master chef? You watch a program on TV and you see a master chef who is a billionaire. Do you want to be that kind of person? There are schools, there are options, and encouraging them and advising them that there are options, presenting those options to them. It's not that I'm in formal employment, that I'll just expose the kids to formal employment. I've exposed them, I've tried to expose them to whatever it is that comes to their mind. Then they'll be able to zero down, what is it? They will even buy their gifts themselves and say, now this is what I want. So currently, I'm focusing on asking them, what do you want? What do people say you're good at? What are you good at? It's okay if they are confused. It is okay. Keep going at it, and you will soon identify their talent and harness it. Please don't force it. I know you can direct them in a path, but don't force them to do what they do not want to do. But it works different for everyone.
Thank you very, very much, our dear panelists. I believe that we have learned a lot. If there's a lesson that has stood out for you very profoundly, please do comment in our comment section. Would love to hear what your takeaways have been. But as we close, I would like each one of us to share a couple of parting shots. For you, Mama Margaret in particular, I want you to address a question here that came through even as we wrap up. Someone is asking, what mistakes did you make while raising your children, which you think you would not repeat today if they were younger, or if you had another chance, I guess, to do it over? Are there any mistakes that you made while you were raising your children regarding, I guess, teaching them about money and the value of work that you'd advise another parent not to make, even as we wrap up? I don't know who wants to go first in terms of parting shots. Brigadier, should we start with you, or we give it to Mama Margaret? Okay.
It's God. There are very many mistakes that parents do. For example, I'll tell you, of course, the experience I've gone through, and I've seen parents giving their children pocket money, 300,000, and they cry of school fees. He doesn't pay the school fees, but they give the children big pocket money. Yet at school, there is food. To me, whenever I used to buy you Grab, I would give you 10,000 or 20,000 for only a bottle of soda, because I will not pack soda for you. So there are many things that parents think that they love their children, yet they are spoiling them. For example, sorry to go back on this, a mother who doesn't want the son to do the work. That's cheating yourself. You as a mother, you are cheating yourself. I don't think you'll be happy to see your child at home useless when other people's children are working and yours is, languishing around you asking for money even at the old age. So mothers, let us not cheat ourselves. Let us show the children we love them, but also correct them where they have gone wrong. And you tell them, in Uganda bagamba, ekituufu kiyiseewo nga kituufu, n'ekikyamu kiyiseewo nga kiki nga kikyamu. Omwana mugambe nti kino kikyamu. Olina okukola bwoti ne bwoti. I am telling you as a mother, and there's nobody who love you outside there more than a mother. A mother would like to see her child, or a father, because also good enough I have a former soldier who is also a hard-working person, so they would fear to languish around. You teach your children, you must do this and this. But children may have many children, and they are all different characteristics. As my sister says here, please promote where the child you see that he is going. You can say child who can be a mechanic. By destroying the radios around everything, you will know that this one can be a mechanic. Please promote that in him, other than saying, I want my child to be a lawyer, I want my child to be this. It is good to support their children with their different. I have daughters. For them, they love business like their mom. And here I promoted them. Also, they had their savings, but also I helped them to see that their art grows. So please, dear parents, let us not spoil our children. Let us raise our children in the way God wants us to raise them. For example, in Uganda, we are very bad off. We are very bad off. I am an employer. I employ over 400 people. But many people don't come to work. They come to cheat. That's why you see big companies are employing people from Kenya, people from South Africa, many CEOs, Indians, because for them, they know the value of work. So why? It is because we never parented these children well. We never gave them a foundation that you must love your work, and from that, you will go to higher level and higher levels. So in Uganda, we have a problem, and I'm sure everybody knows about it, that many people don't come to work, they come to cheat. So we must go back to the foundation. Those who are still young and who have the young children, please put discipline in your children. Put discipline in your children. Teach them the ways of God. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of what? Of wisdom. That is a very crucial point which every parent should know and teach their children. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mama Margaret, for responding to that. I think for me, what I'm picking from your submission, and I think what we've been talking about today is, the basis for you to be able to create wealth and be financially independent is learning the value of work.
Yeah.
Knowing that, hard work pays, and if you work, you will reap from where you have sown.
Yeah.
It's been a very insightful conversation. Before we have the other panelists share their parting shots, I'm going to hand over back to Agnes. Please do come up while Brigadier Flavia and Florence prepare their parting shots.
Let me add on this. The Bible tells us, if you don't work, you don't even deserve to eat. When you don't eat, you die.
Thank you, Dr. Margaret. Thank you, panelists, for the great insights. I believe all of us have learned something new, or been reminded of something that we have probably not been practicing, but we had heard about it earlier. So today we have amidst us a gentleman called Michael Kisa. He's an innovator and research consultant and a writer. He's a father of 2 boys. They were talking about boys today. And he's going to talk to us about a kids' bank. We've heard a lot about savings. So he has a modified kiddies bank. We call them piggy banks, which we believe that he believes that this kind of kiddie bank will help us on our journey in introducing the money topic to our children, because it is based on the Jewish jazz concept, the 5 Jewish jazz concept of saving and spending money. So Michael, you're welcome.
Yes, I've been given 2 minutes. Thank you so much. My names have been given, and I honor you, the panel. I'm like Pilate. I was looking forward to see Jesus. And I was looking forward to see Madame Seroma, and I've seen you. Thank you. The kiddie bank, or the pigs bank I'm going to introduce, we named it the kids bank. Actually, my children named it the kids bank. It is based on the Jewish jazz concept. The Jewish jazz concept is popular now. It's about, they say, when the child is about 3 years, based on the principle which was said, when a child is young, teach him in the way he should go, and he will not depart from it. They teach them that every money you're given, let's say 10 shekels in the Jewish currency, if you're given 10 shekels, you save 10, give 10 to the church, which is tithing. You save 10 for an emergency. You put aside 2 shekels, 20%, and then spend half of it. So I put together the jazz because I wanted my children to learn about money. Because as a child, my mother gave me something. It was not a piggy bank, but it was something that you would put money in and then go to the post office and they would open it for you. We who are a bit slightly older. Yeah, my mother had that. I didn't have a piggy bank, but I had that thing. But I didn't learn anything from it. So when I was sent a WhatsApp with this Jewish concept, I thought I would use it for my kids. So I put together 5 jars, put them in a box, modified it and whatnot, and even started selling it, and people liked it. But one thing they told me, that when they get these 5 jars, and you have 5 children, the jars are all over the place. So I was advised to fuse the jars into one unit. So we have what we call the kids bank. It looks like this. And what happens, let me just turn it around for everyone to see, is you have, it ends up being 6 panels where you put your money. So the first panel is the depositing panel, where, let's say, recently my children got 300,000 shillings from a good parent. So you dump it here in the deposits box. Then on a Saturday evening, or whichever day you choose to split the money, you put 10% in the tithing, which you take to the church. You put 10% in the giving panel, which you'll give to a needy person, and then saving is for an emergency or any other need, you put it there. And then investing is 20% of the money. that you have, and then spending is 50%. That's for any need that the children may want. Then after that, you can close it, and lock it, yeah? There should be a padlock there. Actually, we found that the greatest problem to these kids' banks is the parents. They keep borrowing from the children's piggy banks, and they don't take it back. So actually, Mr. Amboa was suggesting that we put locks on the piggy bank, on the kids' bank, one with the key for the parent and the other with the key for the child, so the parent cannot steal from the child's piggy bank. So this is the concept we have. I'll hopefully be partnering with NSSF. I've talked to Mr. Amboa and Sanyu over there, and we should be partnering to see how we can roll this out to the population. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Michael. I have advice to any child who will ever listen to this recording. My 9-year-old lends us money at 10% per day. So in 1 week, one day he lent my husband 50,000. Just imagine 10% per day. I don't think she had ever made that money. So parents who are borrowing from your children's piggy bank, the least you can do is pay them some interest and put it back. So I take this opportunity to thank the back office team that has made this online webinar possible. Anna, Marie, and the media team, thank you so much for the work you've done in the background to make sure that we have a successful event today. And Michael has made it very easy for us to start this discussion. 10%, 10%, 10%, 20%, and 50% for expenditure. So the children need to also enjoy COSA money so that they learn that we are not only working to save and invest, but there's also some benefit from it. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I'll hand over to Rachel to close with the panel and close the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Actually, while we were having the discussion, I kept thinking, but aren't we going to teach our children just to suffer? You are only saving and budgeting and, where's the point where they enjoy the money, And I think that there is value in teaching them that it's not just for saving for a rainy day, that you actually plan for your leisure, your entertainment. If you want to go out with your friends, it's not just the money that is left over, but that is also planned for. Thank you so much for this conversation and, a lot of things that have been said and a lot of things that we have learned. Would like Brigadier Flavia and Florence also to share your parting shots, even as we wrap up this conversation.
Thank you so much. Lest I forget, I want to appreciate Florence because I've also learned a lot from her. Involving the children in showing them how you're spending, and then that is, I think, a very good way of do this, save the water bill, and then we shall share the saving. Then the other lesson I've learned from her is what I think she talked about talent. And I want to connect it to the question you asked, Margaret. What would you have changed if today you had chance of, bringing up again your children? Today, what I would have, the mistake I've seen is a lack of consistency. You talk about that thing, do this, but when they fault, you talk 3 times and say, you late that one. And yes, that one to me, I think it's a very big weakness. And I wish I could rewind the clock. I would know that I need to insist. And the other thing that I would have wanted to change is that talent, the bit of the talent, how to insist, and where you cannot, to get someone who can do it better for you. For example, my son, he likes football so much. I do not remember a day when Simon has not gone to the pitch, for as long as he's been old enough. He started when he was 4 years. He would move from Chengela because he wanted to, I put him in someone's, those academy schools. And then we did not have money to get someone to accompany him to Aga Khan. So I told him, and that was, I think he was about 5 years. I told him, Simon, can you go to Kampala yourself from Chengera to Kampala in a taxi and run to Aga Khan? He said, yes, Mom, I'll do it. I said, are you sure? He said, Mama, nja kugenda. Mami nja kugenda, you know. So I accompanied him once. I went with him in a taxi. I reached Shelmengo and said, this is where you board off from the taxi. This is Old Kampala Police Station. When you pass through here, that is Aga Khan. Will you do it? He said, I will do it. That is a 5-year-old child. And many parents, of course, wouldn't do that. You've seen girls up to university being accompanied. But I didn't have the money. And the boy who wanted football, I took that risk. So the next day I said, okay, I packed for him. I said, okay, now you can go to your football. And then, of course, I stayed home with my heart out because I didn't know what would happen. I said, now, this is a 5-year-old boy. Sending him to Kampala, to board off a taxi, go to Aga Khan, and then connect again to come back to Chengera. But he did it. He did it. He said, when I reach there, and he would tell me, when I reach Shell, I ran through the boat, I would do like this. I ran and then pass here, and he did it. So the other point I want to end with is at what age should we introduce some of these things to the children as early as they can be able to understand. Children, this issue of saying they are still young, no. Because I used to think, how can a baby get to know that now they get annoyed? Why would they learn how to abuse and not to abuse? So they get to understand at an early age. And they tell us that the first 8 years, what all our children get in the first, those how many days, will print a lasting and an ever, forever lesson. So my parting point is, let's introduce our children to these things that we think are valuable, are going to be valuable in their lives at the early childhood, because that is because if you are growing up with child, they will tell you what the teacher has told them, they will not divert from your art. You will give him a better answer, and he tells, at least that I would see from my son. You tell him a better answer, he says, okay, mommy, you've told me that, but the teacher said, I'm not taking your answer. I will first go back and ask my teacher. So even when you're telling them the thing, they'll go back. So meaning what? Meaning that at that age, they are able and they are learning. And the other thing is, I did not take so much in his football. So I should have given it to a professional footballer to help him, go through, because he likes it. And like I'm saying, for the last, he's 21 years now, but for as early as 5 years, there is no single day that he has missed going to the pitch. Meaning, if I had helped him to do it professionally, perhaps we would be having a different story. So, and of course, the carrot and stick. Yes. These parents actually who fear talking to their sons that they are going to get annoyed. No, you know what? Yeah, there. Because I've always insisted, you either listen to what I say, and I've always showed him that, there is a period I've lived without you, so that means I can still live without you. So our relationship, our love is so strong, but it's on principle. It's on what you do. It's not that I have to beg you, I'm your mother, he's your father. You're going to listen to us. Not that we bulldoze, because we are friends, we chat a lot, we joke a lot, that kind. And he says that, my mother is my friend. But when she changes, I know now she has changed. So let them appreciate when you mean business, when you don't mean business. Because for me, my son will come, will lay on my bed, will do this. The father will complain, but when it's business, and I used to beat, but of course now I don't. He's big now. So parents out there, please expose your children to all these things. Let them appreciate. And they will appreciate you more when you tell them the right thing, because as they grow, they realize it. My son used to say, my mother, even if she beats me, after 2 minutes we are friends again. Why? Because I used to say, Simon, does anyone love you better than I do? No, mommy. Can I tell you something, that is going to spoil you? No, mother. Do you know that I'm doing this for the better of your life? Yes, mom. So lie down. So she would actually appreciate and know, my mother, by the time she takes out a space, is in my interest. Yes. So parents out there, please, talk to your children, let them work, expose them, reward them for what they have done. Don't, because what works for one does not work for the other. Some of affluence, they live in affluence, you don't have to work. But for us, whose children have to work, let us don't get lost in these .com things. Ground them from the values, yes.
Thank you so much. It's been such an exciting session full of lots of lessons for me to learn. Skills and principles about money have been talked about, so I will not repeat those ones. But one thing that is very key for me is my transition of the way I managed my kids. And I just want to emphasize to the parents, the well-wishers, the friends that are here with us and out there with us, positive affirmations and motivational words are very critical in whatever principle or skill that you're trying to teach your children. Of course, as we grow up, it was different, it was harsh, but positive affirmations are very critical, and that incentivizing is very critical in the journey of skilling your kids with whatever principles, whether it's money, anything, it is very, very critical. And then finally, financial independence alone may not bring you the happiness that you're looking for. We need to help our kids to discover themselves, to find their purpose. Once they find their purpose, then even whatever they are doing towards their purpose to get that money will be gratifying. So teach your kids, help your kids to discover themselves and they find their purpose. Thank you very much.
Very, very much to our audience online and to our audience indoors. We appreciate your company for the last 1.5 hours, for all those that sent in questions. Thank you very much for participating and for engaging with our panel. I'll hand over back to you, Agnes. Thank you everyone for watching and for taking part.
There is something I wanted to add on, my last. It is always to be good to be a nagging parent. Now, tomorrow they will appreciate you. I remember my daughter one time when she was getting married, she said, I thank God that I had a nagging mother. So it is good to be a nagging parent. Tomorrow they will see the truth out of it and they will appreciate you. God bless you.
Okay. I think I had the same sentiments about my mother. She beat me the most with umoja. Thank you very much, ladies, for the insightful discussion and for sharing openly about your journey. I believe our audience has learned a lot today. And as we conclude, I'll ask just one question. If you can recommend any 1 or 2 books that you have read that have changed your lives and you would recommend to the audience, it could be financial related, parenting related, or any other.
That's where my children are, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teams, because of where they are. They are teenagers now.
Thank you.
Recent, it was Poor Dad, Rich Dad. That is the one, of course, I recommended Simon. There is another one written by Ham, Success, and, yes, I've also recommended another one. There is a third one whose title I've forgotten, I just bought for myself, but he ended up taking it. But how much he has read, that one I can't tell.
Thank you, Brigadier. Yes, Dr. Margaret.
The Power of a Praying Mother. It is written by Stormy. Storm. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So there we go. And as we conclude, key takeaways for us today. From Florence, modern parenting. You can see she's the young mother there, minus Rachel, who was the moderator. Modern parenting, it's about conversations, communication, yeah, because the children are getting more empowered, more informed. We are now in a global village. Yeah? So thank you. From Dr. Margaret, discipline, discipline, discipline. Yeah? Let the children learn the value of work. Let them value money. And then from Brigadier Flavia, I guess one of the things I've picked from you is that we need to have time and walk the journey with our children. Otherwise, we will never pick up the habits that they have or get to know them. And that takes us to what all of them have told us today, that we need to discover our children's talents so that we can guide them along that journey. And as we conclude, I'd like to say that at NSSF, we have a full-fledged financial literacy program. So please log on to our website and sign up. We have 6-month rigorous course on financial literacy, and we encourage everyone to sign up. So thank you, everyone. Have a lovely day.